So today we're talking about Vickerys Hut. So Vickerys Hut was a wonderful log cabin just at the top of Talbingo. It was built on the flat beside the Jounama Creek. It's one of only 3 log cabins we have in the park, so it's really important that we try and rebuild this one to retain this style of architecture that was used in the building of shelters in the park at the time. We actually built it in the shed in Tumut and then numbered it all and dismantled it into bundles. They were unloaded and then put back together again. So a bit different to when they first constructed the hut, because it was all done with crosscut saw and axe, so the trees would have been felled from the hills surrounding the site and onto the site location with a horse, snigged in with a horse, and then manhandled and hand cut and sawn the notches to put it together. So it was all done by hand, unlike the excavators and things that we can use now.
It's still got to go down, so I'll take a bit more off that. Right, and then that log's going to hit that log, so you can trim a bit there so they're sitting together. There's a creek recovery kit.
Alan Potty's my name. I'm president of the Wagga Wagga 4-Wheel Drive Club. We're here today to help volunteer and work with the National Parks and Wildlife Service and in combination with the Kosciuszko Huts Association to rebuild Vickerys Hut. So today we've been bringing the logs up from the Tumut depot that Roger and Pete have been building over the past few months, and so we've had the opportunity to bring up the logs today, and we'll get another load a little bit later on. But it's all part of the rebuilding program after the Kosciuszko fires.
Even though the original hut lasted over nearly 100 years, we've got to try and meet wind and snow loading requirements of modern builds. So we've put metal rod to tie the footings up through to the top of the hut, so it's tight, so it's all tied down.
You see that? Did you get that? He had a swing it, mate. Make sure that's on record.
In 1910 to 1920, Dick Chave originally had the block, and he used to breed draft horses. He used to have about 30 draft horses and grow potatoes in the area. And then in about 1938-39, brothers Noel and Ross Vickery took up the lease, B12, from the Forestry Commission, who were managing the land at the time, and for grazing sheep and cattle. It wasn't quite like the highways and roads we have now. It was all using bush tracks and their knowledge of which ridges to choose, which was the best way to access up the mountains and then down into that block. And then later, in about 1955 to 1960, Amos Dunn and Ray McGrath had the lease, and so they were grazing stock there at that time as well. So you often have these different families associated with the hut through the life of the hut as you go through. Like with the other huts, we've treated all the timbers with fire retardant. So we've had volunteers come and assist us with painting the walls with fire retardant. And we've also added underfloor ventilation and covered any of those gaps with mesh, trying to reduce any chance of ember attack. It's nice painting it. You can see all the grains in the timber and all the different knots and where the insects are in attacking the logs. And I love all the characters it's got. Getting ready for the opening we have this weekend, where we've got over 50 family descendants of the Vickerys and the Duns and McGraths, families who used to live and work in the mountains.
Ian Vickery's my name, and my father and his brother and father built the hut, and they had all this loose country years ago.
My name's Karen Hill. I am Ray McGrath's daughter, and this is Joy Sutton, who is Amos Dunn's daughter. And it was our fathers that are in the picture inside, and they took over the lease of Vickerys Hut after the Vickerys had lived in about 1956, 57. Amos Dunn, he actually built a bridge over the Tumut River down in front of Talbingo Township, where it is now. And he would wait until the river would go down to a certain point so he can put up the structures, so he can build the bridge across the river. And then he would push the sheep one at a time in single file across the river and over the bridge, and then he would bring them up the highway and then brought them down through the bush. So this is Amos's bridge here going across the Tumut River. This is Phyllis pushing the baby pram with Joy in it and her older brother Jimmy. And this is the bridge, and this is how they brought the sheep across, one by one. And if you look behind, you can see all the other sheep coming through too. They got the sheep in 1956, and Amos put it up there that they were 50 short in the muster. And this one here, this is what my dad wrote up there. In 1959, he was thrown off his filly and broke his ankle. Again, thank you very much. It's been a wonderful day. Okay, thank you.
I'd just like to say thank you to everybody that's done all the work, because it's part of my history. My father always talked about it, and I'm really happy to say.
You've got a poem here to their daughter.
Oh, please.
Rebecca wrote this. It's called Ode to Poppy Pop, and that's what they call Dad. Well, God bless you, Pop, we think you're colossal. At 99 you were quite the fossil of times gone by and traditions made, passed down generations so not to fade. So with fingers bent, a couple of new knees, a fishing line, a horse that can see, the campfire warm, your beer hopefully cold, telling yarns to mates of old. You may be gone now, matey, but know your legacy stands. It's in a hut in the mountains made with your very own hands.